In this course, we talk a lot about certain institutions, global institutions, that are designed to help in the economic development process. And what's funny is that many of these institutions, when they came about, were not well designed to help with economic growth. In fact, they were designed for completely different purposes. And today we use them to help developing countries start their engines of economic growth. And because of the origins of these institutions, they struggle. In fact, we keep revisiting. In the 1990s, we revisited. In the year 2000, we revisited. In the 2010s, we revisited. And in 2010, and then talking about the Millennium Goals of 2015, we have looked at these institutions and tried to tweak their designs to help guide these countries in the economic development process. So this is just a primer in where these institutions came from so that you have an idea of why we struggle so much with them in order to help developing countries start their economic growth. All right, so first we have the World Bank. The World Bank was founded in 1944 as the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. This bank was intended to finance reconstruction in Europe after World War II. So that's what it was designed for. Many countries put their money in and said, okay, we are going to help rebuild Europe. Today, the World Bank lends money to middle-income countries at market rates. That is their primary goal. Again, lending money to countries that need to rebuild, right, or have a project that they need to work on, and they are paid back with interest. This is a money-making bank. However, there is one branch of the World Bank called the International Development Association. These folks use donated money to provide highly concessional loans and grants to low-income countries. So when we talk about the World Bank being necessary for economic development, we are talking about the International Development Association. These guys lend at low interest rates on long terms in order to help developing countries. This is just one branch of a money-making organization. They are using donated money to do it, but their original goal was to help middle-income, richer countries in the short run, and they lent them money, they loaned them money at market rates for a profit. The next organization I'm going to talk about is the IMF. It was founded in 1944 at the Bretton Woods Conference. The Bretton Woods Conference reestablished an international system of stable currencies. We had been on the gold standard before many of the rich countries. We had come off that gold standard either in the Great Depression or some of these countries during the World Wars, and we needed a new standard for the monetary system. We put together a dollar standard where many of the world's currencies would be pegged to the US dollar, and the US dollar would be loosely pegged to gold. And that way, the currencies in a crisis, in a global economic crisis, could be more flexible. But again, these many foreign currencies pegged to the dollar meant that we needed the International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, to regulate short-term imbalances in the global currency market. After the 1970s, when Bretton Woods fell apart, right, the rest of the world's currencies came off of the dollar fell off of gold, the IMF provided temporary financing to countries that face significant balance of payment problems or deficits. The goal of the IMF is to stabilize currency. Many look to the IMF, and we'll talk at length about the reasons why, as kind of integral in this economic development process, in helping developing countries. But the IMF was established to stabilize currencies relative to one another and provide short-term loans to stabilize currencies. That is their goal. That was their mission. The third organization we're going to talk about is the World Trade Organization, and we throw this organization into a lot of our discussions when it comes to world trade. These guys were founded in 1949 under GATT, the General Agreement of Tariffs and Trade. This was industrialized, rich countries working together to eliminate tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers to trade. They wanted to dismantle most of their trade barriers. As time has continued, developing countries have been added, and in 1986 they finally came up with a new name with the Uruguay round. They decided on a new name called the World Trade Organization to replace GATT officially in 1995. This organization now includes developed and developing countries, and it's a whole new platform where they are trying to agree together on barriers to trade and on dissolving some of the barriers to trade.